All right, let's talk about the Middle East. You know, in the high-stakes game of geopolitics, the board is always shifting. But right now, something really interesting is happening. A player that was kind of on the sidelines is now moving right to the center. We're talking about Pakistan, and we're going to dive into how it's quietly becoming one of the most pivotal actors in the entire region.
So let's start with this quote, reportedly from Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. "I don't need uranium to make a bomb. I will just buy one from Pakistan." Whoa! I mean, that's a bombshell statement, right? And it's meant to be provocative. But what it really shows is this incredibly deep, strategic trust that's been building for decades, mostly behind the scenes. And that trust is the key to a huge shift in alliances we're seeing right now.
Yeah, that trust isn't just talk anymore. It's been cemented in a landmark agreement, a defense pact that a lot of analysts are calling a total watershed moment. We're talking about something that is fundamentally reshaping the security of the entire region.
Okay, so here it is, the main event. On September 17, 2025, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia put pen to paper and signed this Strategic Mutual Defense Agreement, or SMDA. Now you got to understand, this wasn't just another diplomatic handshake or some routine document. No, this was a fundamental change in their entire relationship. So, let's break down what that actually means.
And the wording here, it's everything. It says aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. I mean, that is an ironclad commitment. It's a classic Article 5 style collective defense promise. This institutionalizes everything from sharing top-secret intelligence to jointly producing weapons. It just elevates this entire alliance to a whole new level.
And this really gets to the heart of the change. For decades, you could kind of think of Pakistan as a security contractor for the Gulf. You know, they provided troops, they provided training, really valuable manpower. But this new pact, it completely transforms that role. Islamabad is no longer just the hired help. It's now a co-architect, a strategic partner in shaping Gulf security. And believe it or not, this shift has been a long, long time coming.
So to really get why this is happening now, we've got to rewind a bit and look at the history, the deep foundation that this is all built on.
You see, when Pakistan was created back in 1947, its military didn't just appear out of nowhere. It inherited this really unique strategic culture from the old British Indian Army. The British had this doctrine called the East of Suez policy, which basically meant they were the police force for the massive region east of the Suez Canal. While Pakistan's military essentially inherited that mission. So from day one, regional policing was just part of its DNA.
And if you look at the timeline, you see this incredibly consistent pattern. It's not a one-off thing. We're talking about training thousands of Saudi military personnel, starting way back in the 1960s. Then in the 80s, they played a huge role in mediating the end of the bloody Iran-Iraq War. So when you see this 2025 pact, it doesn't come out of the blue. It's really the culmination of this long, quiet history of engagement.
So, okay, if the history has been there for so long, what was the trigger? Why is this happening right now? Well, the answer lies in a series of recent shocks that have left the entire region feeling incredibly vulnerable.
It was basically a perfect storm of three key events. First, recent Israeli aggression, and especially that unprecedented attack on Doha, Qatar, that really exposed just how fragile security was, even for the wealthy Gulf states. That led directly to the second point. Confidence in the U.S. security umbrella just plummeted. People started to doubt if America would really be there to protect them. And then number three, Pakistan's performance in that short but really intense conflict with India in May 2025. They showed they were ready and capable, which gave them a ton of new credibility in all those anxious Gulf capitals.
So Pakistan saw this moment, this window of opportunity, and they seized it. Their leadership, and especially the military, launched this really proactive and surprisingly effective diplomatic offensive across the region. And right at the center of all this is the Army Chief Asim Munir. This guy has been acting as both a military commander and a chief diplomat. He's been the one meeting with heads of state, personally driving this new strategy forward, everywhere from Riyadh to Cairo to Tripoli. And it's not just talk. He's been getting real results, tangible stuff. Like when Saudi Arabia and the UAE had that serious public falling out over Yemen, he stepped in and successfully mediated, de-escalating the whole thing. He secured major arms deals in North Africa. I mean, this whirlwind of diplomacy has been so effective that it even got him public praise from the White House, with President Trump specifically pointing out his stabilizing role in the region. That's a big deal. But, and this is a huge but, all this success abroad is only half the story. Because back at home, Pakistan is wrestling with some really deep-seated problems, creating this massive tension at the heart of its new role. So on one hand, you've got these major wins. Take this, for example, a $4 billion arms deal with Libya. I mean, that is a massive economic and strategic victory. It shows off their newfound industrial and diplomatic muscle.
But then you look at this. Their ranking on the Global Terrorism Index has skyrocketed. They are now the second most affected country in the entire world. And look, that isn't just a number on a chart. It is a constant, relentless drain on their resources, their money, and their strategic focus.
And as if that weren't enough, you've got crippling inflation, over 20%. Think about that. That creates immense pressure on the population and seriously threatens the domestic stability you absolutely need to pull off any kind of ambitious foreign policy.
And this, right here, is the central dilemma. Pakistan is building this foreign policy that looks like it belongs to a major world power, but it's building it on an economic foundation that is just incredibly fragile. The ambition is literally outpacing the capacity to support it.
I mean, the domestic constraints are just severe. The economy is basically stuck in this endless cycle of IMF negotiations and bailouts from the Gulf. Investment in research and development, it's almost non-existent, hovering around 0.3% of GDP. The military is already stretched thin, managing active fronts with both India and Afghanistan. And to top it all off, their new role in the Middle East can be twisted and weaponized by extremists at home, like this new militant group that's already accusing the army of betraying the Palestinian cause.
So, after all that, what's the final takeaway? What does this all mean for Pakistan and for the whole region?
First, let's be really clear about this. This is a genuine moment for Pakistan. It's not just hype. A whole bunch of events have converged to create a real, tangible opportunity. The country has become strategically necessary for a region that's in constant flux.
But, and here it is again, this moment is incredibly fragile. All this new influence, all these new pacts, they'll only last if the leadership can use this opportunity as a spark, a catalyst for the deep, essential domestic reforms they so desperately need. Because let's face it, security pacts abroad can't mask economic weakness at home forever.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? This window of opportunity is open, for now, but it won't be open forever. Can Pakistan's leadership actually convert this strategic moment into the domestic strength and reform needed to sustain it? The answer to that question is going to determine not just Pakistan's future, but the stability of an entire region that's standing at a crossroads.